Yep, that's me, standing outside of the InnoGames office in Hamburg, Germany. I was invited to be part of a panel during their company conference and happily accepted. When you're given the chance to meet the people who make the game you've spent over 6 years playing, it's hard to say no. Full disclosure, InnoGames covered my flight, hotel, food, and Glühwein expenses. However, I was not obligated to make a video. I'm making it because how could I not? So yes, I flew out to Germany and got to watch the plane animation bug out. Before we get there, let me sum up my trip in a short sorta montage. Lots of walking, which I enjoy, but the stairs at the train station were funky. Santa was on a zipline and flew into the Christmas tree and then flew backwards and has a really deep voice. Here's me at Inno, here's the super secret continent map all connected together, here's the back of a fat pigeon. There were a lot of chunky pigeons actually. I got some InnoGames merch, including a Heroes of History hoodie, Forge of Empires socks, and InnoGames playing cards. InnoGames really needs to start selling merch. Here's what they called a town hall at InnoGames, and right on the other side of that, here's where I and the other panelists talked on stage. So, back to the reason InnoGames wanted me out there, the panel. We talked about how we found the various games we play and how each of us has supported the community and games. For me, that's via videos. The other panelists each had interesting and unique ways of their own, but I'll leave it up to them to talk about if they wish. Then we dived a bit more into thoughts about the games and questions from the InnoGames employees. It was an honor to be a part of that panel, and it was fun giving a bit of feedback during it too. My biggest point that I hope I got across is communication. Greater communication and interaction with the community is something that I think is vital to a successful game, and it's something I would like to see a larger focus on. When players know why changes were made, the goal of the game designers, and the direction the game is moving, it is better for everyone. The panel was a lot of fun, and I think it went really well. However, what will truly stick with me from this trip is meeting all the various developers, artists, designers, and everybody else who helps make their games, including Forge of Empires, possible. Just from the Forge team, for example, I was able to meet some truly wonderful people, including the one in charge of putting the word challenge in mini challenges, the Ted who the Ted's Chalk is named after, the artist who made the doggos for the Sled Pup Monument, the UI designer responsible for aligning the fight buttons in Guild Battlegrounds, and so many more. All the InnoGames employees I spoke with were super nice and really interesting to talk to. You could truly see their passion for the projects they worked on, and nothing is better than getting to nerd out over a shared interest. That's something that I wish I could convey better in this video. In short, the amount of thought put into the work they do is impressive. We only see the finished product, but there's so much more that happens prior to that in the development process. There was one really strange thing about talking to the various InnoGames employees. I've seen so many of them before. While I always suspected it to be the case, many of the avatars in the game are people actually working at Inno, so walking around the company was like seeing people from the game. It's a really odd experience when you see the walking, breathing version of an avatar of a player that you know in-game. And before you ask, yes, the vast majority of the Forge of Empires team does play the game too. And actually, they run into some of the same issues that we do. One of the devs was playing Forge on their phone and had 6 boards in the winter event without a key appearing even once. Then another dev pulled out their phone, opened the event, and the first board had a key. They started the board, opened the first house, and immediately got that key. While I was at Inno, I also had a chance to meet with Matt, the product head for Forge, as well as Nino, the head of studio, and Tiago, a product manager for Forge. We talked about quite a few things, and I'll do my best to summarize them here. Any inaccuracies are due to my own memory writing this down a week later. First up, a big discussion was the game's economy, especially with regard to the quantum incursions. When the incursions were introduced, there was an imbalance with players getting too much of a power spike and it threw everything off. Now it's toned back a bit, but they've learned and will be balancing stuff with a bit more care. The second main point is that the devs don't want you to do everything. A common complaint I see in the game right now is that the game takes a lot of time, and that's understandable. There's guild expeditions, events, guild battlegrounds, quantum incursions, and everything else going on. However, the goal seems to be specialization in a certain feature if you wish to be strong, or a more general player that's weaker across the board. They want you to participate in what you want and work together as a guild to stay afloat in others. I think that's a good philosophy. It's what I've been doing personally, where I barely play guild battlegrounds and focus heavier on guild expeditions and quantum incursions because I enjoy them more. The third point is that they're at the point of building out some longer-term goals. Things where features can provide challenges to you over a longer period, so it's not like Guild Expeditions Level 5, where it was completable for competitive players relatively soon after it came out. This has been one of my long-standing complaints with the game, and I'm glad to see it being a focus. Lastly, one of the biggest things I took away from my talk with Matt, Nino, and Tiago is something that I, and I think most of you, can agree is critically important: building for the future. The way the game is being developed now is in a way that it can be continued to be supported in the future. A big reason Guild vs. Guild died was because it was built to never be changed. But now we're seeing a lot of stuff be added with the intention that it will have to be changed. And while that doesn't mean much now, it means that as the lifetime of the game continues, it will result in a better game. In short, I'm optimistic about the future of the game. There's a lot of stuff coming up that is making me truly excited for its release. The Guild Expeditions update, Great Buildings revamp, historical allies leveling, and so much more. I also want to take the chance to thank Domi and Fina, who were instrumental in getting me to Germany and for organizing the panel, the other panelists for being some really cool people, all the folks at InnoGames. The games you make bring people together, and for me specifically, Forge of Empires changed my life in ways that I'm still surprised about. And lastly, to you, my viewers. You're the reason I'm still on this journey, and it's because of you watching my videos that I get to do stuff like this. You have my word that I'll keep vouching for you when I get the chance to do so, and that's all from me for this video. If you got to ask the Forge of Empires team any question, what would it be? Let me know down in the comments or over on Discord, and as always, I'll see you all next time.